Okay, what's going on here? What am I doing? Um, this is what I'm gonna try. This is what I'm looking at. So I have the game La Bataille des Lignes, second edition from Clash of Arms, and I have that. I have part of that set out, but I am going to try using the I guess La Bataille Premier ME, Rules for Napoleonic Grand Tactical Warfare, from the labataille.me website. I'm going to try using these rules, not the rules that came in the box, and this is why. So when I was thinking about trying La Bataille again, so my only real worthwhile experience is a little bit of La Bataille de vos Champs, which is from Against the Odds magazine, which I understand is a kind of well, I guess it was a one-off type production for ATO. I don't actually know the details of why it, but I mean, it's my understanding that it's set off from the others, but not entirely its own, but set off in some way from the others. But I liked La Bataille de vos Champs a lot. I played several months ago, something like that, at least several months ago, and it has stuck in my mind very vividly. So I was thinking about just going back to La Bataille de vos Champs and trying to play a fuller scenario, or more fully play a scenario. But then I was thinking, well, I do have a few of the La Bataille titles, so I would kind of like to try a new one just for a new setting, different setting. So that's what made me think about the other boxed games that I have from the La Bataille series. So then it was what rule set. So my first idea was, well, what is it called? The regulations of the year 30. Doing some quick reading online, I got the impression that was the most detailed. And that kind of appealed to me. To go right to the most detailed, deepest, grittiest, most realistic rule set. And that way down the road, if I tried any others, they would be some type of step down version of that. But then I figured out, I got the impression that the regulations of the year 30 still have chit pull and MUs. And by the way, I don't know, do MUs go along with chit pull? I don't know, but to me they're two mechanics. I mean, they might, in the La Bataille series, maybe they go hand in hand, but to me there's chit pull and then there's MUs. And La Bataille de vos Champs doesn't have either of those, and I enjoyed it a lot. So if you can already see where I'm going with this. Oh, by the way, actually, there is one more thing. I'm not really a fan of chit pull anymore. And actually, that's not true. That's not true. It's chit pull is a mechanic that has its place, depending on what it's trying to represent. And I'm going to give an example of what I mean. So chit pull is used a lot because it's a popular mechanic, not because it applies to what it's being used for. That's my problem with chit pull. Example: when I pull chits for a sequence of play in firepower, where individual units are individual soldiers. I think it's firepower. Firepower? Yeah, the old single-man unit scale modern warfare game. Love it. I think it's firepower. When I pull chits for that, that's okay. That makes sense for simulating reality, because at that scale and scope, and this is the way I reason it out, who can say who acts next and why? I mean, there are tons of different factors. Most of them are completely hidden. So kind of the end result is who knows. So that's okay with chit pull. But if I'm pulling chits to act with entire, I don't know, brigades, divisions, corps, armies, that's where it gets a little, and I'm not sure this is exactly the right word, but it gets a little silly. Because, and the only thing I can think of for my own thinking and gut feeling is it's the level that we're talking about, the echelon. So if I can, and I still don't think I've played a really high-level strategic game, but I can imagine a really high-level, maybe this Advanced Third Reich or whatever, a game I never played, don't own, but some grand strategic war game where basically I, as a player, am playing the war leader, right? I'm deciding where the offensives are. I'm deciding whether the next, 20,000 soldiers raised become an infantry division or an armor division, right? At that level, chit pull to me is silly because so much, as a war leader, so much is in your control. So we're talking time scale and decision scale and event scale. So anyways, that is an example that I pulled off the top of my head that's exaggerated. I'm not saying that I don't have any game in mind. I've just played games where chit pull didn't really sit right. It felt like it was there just because chit pull is popular, and then I'm trying to figure out why it's okay in some settings and why it doesn't sit well in other settings. And maybe I'm wrong about the factor being the scale and scope, but that's what I thought. So chit pull really wasn't interested in La Bataille with chit pull, at least not right now, maybe later. I think back, I associate La Bataille with La Bataille de Vauchamps. La Bataille de Vauchamps has a kind of an old school, traditional phase, segment, step, sequence of play, where it is, at one point you're declaring your charges, at another point you're doing charge movement, at another point in the sequence of play you're checking for pre-charge morale or pre-melee morale, and at yet another step, again, this is an exaggeration off the top of my head, but finally at a completely separate step of a phase of a whatever, you're resolving charge melees. That type of, I guess, old school is what I'm actually looking for. So then I was looking at, or trying to get an idea of the different rule sets out there for La Bataille, and kind of oddly enough, I fell back on, I think the Premier ME rules might be the way for me to go. So one, I'm not interested in playing chit pull right now. Certainly not right now. I want a structured sequence of play. Also, I like the idea of, or I should say, I'm not really interested in a really elaborate chain of command and control. That's another thing that I think can get overdone. But don't want to talk about that now. It's not that I want no command and control, but I don't know, something other than anyways. These rules, I think, are the ones, well, it's my impression that these ones have the timed turn, which I think is going to work out well for me, because I think I'll probably play 15-minute. I'll give myself 15-minute turns just because I'm learning. I guess there's maybe with these old, I mean, they're not old, but well, I guess they go back a long ways. The Premier rules have, I think, a convention or something of 10-minute turns. I'll go with 15-minute. I'll be talking a little bit more about what I'm doing or a little bit more than normal, than I would normally be playing, than you would normally be playing. So I'll be talking a little bit more. Obviously, I'm learning the rules, and 15-minute format fits in well with a daily video format. So I think the Premier rules, 15-minute turns, kind of get to the tradition. Well, maybe core heart of the La Bataille design. Which is not to take away anything from the newer directions that the design has taken at different places in time. I say that, of course, because La Bataille has, I don't even know all the ins and outs of how we've wound up with multiple different versions and producers and all that stuff. But I think if this works out how I want, I'm going to be using, and by the way, I'm not playing La Bataille des Lignes, but I'm using La Bataille des Lignes as a setting for a rules exploration of the La Bataille Premier ME, Rules for Napoleonic Grand Tactical Warfare, 1792-1815. And I hope if I just get to that, that'll be good and that'll be a success. And I do want to get, I'd like to get into at least some of the meat and heart of the design.